Today I have the honor of moderating a discussion um, with four different panelists, and I'd like to introduce them to you right now. We have Teiko, Breelyn, Gabriel Masala, and Alexander Hamilton. So let's start with Teiko, and we'll go around the table with each of the panelists introducing themselves to the audience.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Teiko. I'm a creative art director, and I've been in creative industry for 9 years, but I've been doing different kind of stuff. So I was designer, I was a graphic designer, web designer, I was art director, I was creative art director, I was working on a client side and on a agency side. So it's very different and very interesting. So if you have any questions about any of those, I'm happy to answer. And let's enjoy this 1 hour together.
Thank you, Teiko. Alexander, pass the baton to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Henry. I'm an executive producer and partner at Alfredo Films. I started my company straight out of film school where I knew nothing about advertising. And so it has been a really interesting journey getting to do the stuff that I do and getting to work with incredible people. So I'm excited to chat with you all and just answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Alexander. Bree, can you introduce yourself, please, to our audience?
Yes, hello. My name is Bree. I am the creative director of design at Rethink in Toronto. Rethink is an advertising agency, but as I said, I'm a graphic designer, so I've worked everywhere from in-house to small studios to agencies. So if you have any questions around design, I'm the girl, but also I started my career in fine arts. I went to school for fine arts doing painting and sculpture. So it's been like a long winding path to get to advertising. So yeah, that's about it.
Great. Thank you so much, Bree. I don't know if Gabriel's with us. Are you there, Gabriel?
I am. Hi.
Okay. Hi, Gabriel. Last but not least.
All right. So, yeah, first, let me thank everyone for being here, and special thanks to the Applied Arts for creating this opportunity to chat. So my name is Gabriel. I'm a director and an animator. I mostly focus on character design, character animation, and storytelling. So I direct animated pieces for all kinds of clients. For example, at the moment, I'm working for a brand studio in London, developing a character for one of their brands and bringing him to life in animation. And I'm also developing a web series for CBC, which is a science show for teens. So maybe you'll see it going around once it's on air. Yeah, so I'm working as a freelance, and a bit like Alexander, straight out of school, I went into freelance, and it was kind of a wild ride. I was maybe not totally prepared for that. So I did work after that as an art director in an ad agency for a few years. And so now I've gone back to freelancing for the last 4 or 5 years with more experience and much fuller contact book. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Great. Thank you so much. Now, since these students are in high school, I'd like us to go back in time. If you could think about your undergrad, because these students will soon be choosing a school to attend. Can you share with us where you went, why you chose that, and what did you like most about the school that you went to? And perhaps also how it prepared you for where you are now, if indeed it did, because it may have been a circuitous route. So Gabriel, want to start with you?
Yeah, sure. So I made the jump to try to go to school in English at university, mostly because I wanted to learn. Because maybe you can tell, but English is not my mother tongue. So I was brought up in French. But that's it. I heard about the film animation program at Concordia University in Montreal, and and it was really amazing. The whole approach to pedagogy there was different than everything that I had experienced in my scholar path so far. So it was all about, you know, letting us explore the vast world of animation, and the teacher were more like guiding us in our exploration, and giving us the tool to perfect the skills that really interest us, because there's a lot of different jobs you can do in the animation pipeline. So the goal was really to experiment everything and choose something that feels right for you, and just keep working at it and keep getting better at it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I feel very fortunate for graduating there.
Great. Thank you. Bree, where did you go to school?
So right out of high school, I went to Queen's University for the BFA program. And it was a great experience, but when I left, I wanted to do something that was maybe just a little bit more applicable for design, because I've always been interested in design. So I went to college after that, to St. Lawrence College in Kingston. And what really drew me to that program was they really focused on like a smaller grouping of people, and just had a very nurturing space for everybody to collaborate and work together. So that's what drew me there. But one of my favorite things about the program was that they really focused on strategic design, which is kind of where I'm focused now. And I think I took it for granted while being at school, but it was one of the best learning experiences that I got in that program. So yeah, those are some of the experiences.
So Bree, some of these
Mhm.
students might not know what strategic design is. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. So
Okay.
people think sometimes graphic design is just to, make things look pretty and just to zhuzh it up. But really, there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of storytelling, there's a narrative behind design. And when you see good design that's clear and you understand it without explanation, that's strategic design. It doesn't need to be told to you. You immediately understand what it's trying to tell you. And there's a lot of process that goes into it. We work with strategists who have a background in a lot of research and a lot of understanding about brands. So it's less about making things look pretty and making a story and understanding the narrative of brand and how to make it successful.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Alexander, how about your path?
Yeah, I had an interest in sports psychology and an interest in animation. And I was trying to decide, and then also I was like doing a lot of short films and music videos, and I don't know, just anything creative that I could get my hands on. And so I was really I was really just trying to decide what I wanted to do. But ultimately, I think my love for film, I just really wanted to see where that went, and so I decided to go to Humber College. I was like touring all the different schools, and ultimately I felt like a lot of them were teaching the exact same thing. I think it was about like who you were connecting with when you were like on these tours, and I just happened to connect with the people that I was surrounded around on my tour at Humber, and so became great friends with a lot of people that I went to school with, and I think that was my major goal. And so yeah, I ended up going that path, even though I still have a deep love for animation as well. Maybe that's like in some future, but yeah, it was a really amazing experience that I had at Humber.
What program were you in at Humber?
I was
Out
in
of
the
curiosity, given
I was
that.
in Bachelor of Film and Media Production.
Mhm.
So it was I think it was fairly a new program when I went, and yeah, met incredible people.
Great, great. Teiko, are you with us?
Yes.
Yes.
So about choosing what to study, where to study is a huge decision. And for me, it was in my generation there in Georgia, there was only two options: either you're a doctor or you do a business. And I was definitely not a doctor, so I went to business school. but it took me a lot of years to actually find what I really like, which is creative industry. Would it be design or advertising or whatever it is? I like to create stuff. So for students who are watching us right now, maybe I would give them suggestion to actually think about what they really, really would like to do all their lives, and that based on that choose the profession, not based on what's popular right now or what's like makes more money right now, because life changes, everything might change, and at the end of the day you people will have something in your hands that you truly love, and that's a huge thing to have.
So, Teiko, you followed your passion.
Well, not at first.
Okay.
So I
So,
studied business,
mhm.
but then after years and years, I was keep looking, keep searching, keep learning some stuff, and then at some point, I found a Miami at school in Germany, and that was a turnover for me, and I loved everything, every single thing about the school. So yeah,
So
I have.
that, oh, carry on.
Yeah. So in between, because I searched so much, I have like 5 diplomas right now, but the only one that actually matters is the last one, which is art direction in Miami at school.
So was it at Miami Ad School when you decided this is what I should be doing? This makes my soul happy.
I would say yes. Yeah, advertising is what I truly love. The creativity to create, even writing or illustrating or any type of creativity that can be done. That's truly what I would love to do
Okay.
all
Gabriel, you
my
have
life.
thank you. Thank you very much. Gabriel, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the question of finding your passion, because I feel
Please
that's
do.
something that probably feels interesting to our audience today. Because I remember when I was younger, it was this huge question, what program to choose, what is my single passion? And I remember it stressed me out so much, and I was scared of, choosing the wrong program and wasting time in that wrong program. It felt really, the feeling was paralyzing. But later on, in my path, in school and even in my career path, I realized that no experience is lost. If you go in a program and you switch to another, it's not like the experience disappear. It's more like you're building a tower and the brick are gonna have different color, but still it can it can amount to something nice. And I feel like it can even be enriching, to bring that different baggage of experience to another field. So, for instance, I studied photography at first, and all that knowledge that I acquired about composition and building an image, I can bring in animation, and I feel that makes my style a lot stronger, and it makes my style stand out. So, it's not a race or a competition finishing school and getting to work. You're gonna get to work all your life, so you can afford to switch and explore, find what you really like. It's not a pressing matter.
Bree, you're in agreement.
Very well said. Like
Yeah.
exactly was in my head. Yeah. Mhm.
And okay, so Bree, in your case, did you announce to your parents that you were going into this, and what was their reaction like?
Yeah, so for my family, going into like a very serious career was like, you kind of have to go this way. Like my father's an engineer. So explaining to him that I wanted to go into like a fine art program was difficult. Like it wasn't an easy conversation. And I think that what helped a lot was just like educating myself and really understanding like what I was getting into, to be able to have those conversations with him about it was less of convincing and more just like an understanding. But when I was told him I wanted to go in graphic design, the same thing kind of happened. I just was more prepared and a better understanding of like how to set myself up for the future. And I think that's like ultimately what our parents want. They just want us to be independent and ensure that we can like succeed without them. And just preparing ourselves and educating ourselves on like how to actually do that, like helps our parents. We're just almost like holding their hand as well as we're trying to guide ourselves through this journey that we're going on.
True. Speaking as a parent, sometimes my own children's journey, I think, is questionable, but it makes them happy, and got to be there to support it. But sometimes parents have a difficult time understanding creative industries. They want you to be able to put food on the table and whatnot. Did any of you encounter difficulties from your own parents? Anyone, you know?
I
No?
think I definitely did. I had a background in martial arts, and so my parents wanted me to go to the Olympics. They wanted me to like open up a school. That was kind of the career path. I went to a sports high school, so my job essentially was to like just like train all the time and compete. And so when I decided that I wanted to go into film, because that's what was making me happy, it was really tough for them to understand, especially because my dad was a photographer, and so he knew the life of a freelancer, and so he wanted something a little bit more secure for me. And so it was definitely a tough conversation, but I always reminded him and told him that all those things that I learned in martial arts were transferable skills, and they would help me in my career path, like wherever I go. And I do believe that those things helped, but it was definitely a tough conversation.
Yeah, I can see, like, I can see that. I can see it both ways, as the child wanting to have that conversation and the parent, being on the other end of that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you all ended up in this industry, whether you had, like, and having to convince your parents to support you or not, or, just, putting an argument why you wanted to go into a creative industry. What do you get, like, what do you like most about the work you do? What does, what makes, firstly, what does a typical day look like for you? And what is the best part of that day? And then later on, we'll talk about the converse of that. What would you rather do without? So, anybody want to jump in there? Anybody?
I can go.
Okay, thank you, Teiko.
So the best part of being creative for me is that it gives you opportunity to unfold yourself in different ways. So, for example, now I'm in events, but I was in advertising as well. I was just a designer as well. And even though every brief is different, every client wants something different, you get to put the part of yourself in each product, and you see a reflection of yourself in this products, and you're proud of it, and it gives you this fulfillment, which is very different. Because for example, if I learned business as well, and I worked in the bank, and I was working in the bank, I was just a robot there, just part of this big machine, soulless job, which didn't give me anything. Like, I didn't feel anything. And when you're in creative industry, you have these feelings, which is very nice. Sometimes you feel sad as well, but it's still like it keeps you alive. So that's the part that I love the creative industry the most, because you get to actually live your life in it.
Very
Too poetic.
Similar or dissimilar from the other panelists?
Maybe I can speak about the freelance journey that I've been on. For me, the most fun about being freelance is the variety of different type of work you can touch on. And I think Teko was sort of mentioning that type of perk about her path as well. But yeah, the fun part about being a freelance is that you can slowly explore this world, find some different type of work opportunity, and slowly really start to figure out what really fits with your style, and what's really gets your creative juice going. So at one point you can start choosing the creative opportunity that come your way, and really just start working on the stuff that passionate you and that's really in line with your style. So that's definitely a huge perk. And another thing I'll say about the creative field is that the learning never stops, and that's for me a really interesting part. You know, there's always a new technique to figure out or to explore, or somebody refining a specific style that you can learn about. And you know, if you want to not do the same thing twice, 2 days in a row, you can do it forever. You know, there's always some new some new styles coming up. So it's really fun to explore.
So, Gabriel, as a freelancer, what were the challenges that you encountered at the start of your career? Like, how hard was it to build business? How did you get out there? What are the things that these students should be aware of?
You know what? I think what took the more time to realize is that it's not only a matter of being a talented artist. There's so many other different skills that you need to work on in order to be successful in the art world. And I think, you know, coming out of school, I was really just focusing on my art, if you want. But there's a lot of other things that you need to get comfortable with, and specifically working with a client, because a big part of the job is selling your idea and making it look appealing before the first sketches are even drawn. So there are a lot of small skills that come into play that are as important or maybe more important than pure skills. So when I came out of school, yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out, and I think that my time in the ad agency helped me build that contact with the client, but also, you know, all kind of other small things like working in a team and making sure that everybody is having fun, clients and teammate working on that project is all kinds of small things that you can feel in the final product and make it that much more interesting and appealing.
Okay. So it was those skills, apart from your artistic skills, that you had to hone at the beginning in order to make an impression with potential clients.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I'm not sure I'm gonna use the right term here, but does soft skill make sense?
Yes, 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 of course. Yeah.
Yeah, those things that maybe weren't necessarily mentioned in school because we'd focus on our craft. But that, yeah, you can, I feel, only understand by getting some experience in the industry. And that's why I would also recommend, it wasn't part of my curriculum, but I went and searched for an internship while I was in school, and it helped me build that part of my skills. And going back to the parents thing we were talking about earlier, it helped my dad, who is a very traditional Italian guy. He's a great guy, but he also had a lot of trouble wrapping his head around me studying art. So showing him that I was making some money in the art world at the same time was sort of soothing and a good compromise for both me and him. So that's it.
Alexander, I think, thank you, Gabriel, first of all. And Alexander, I think you want to build upon that, or you have a reaction to.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when I was in high school, I was a really big introvert. And so the idea of like, you know, you work on something, really proud of it, but then I had a really hard time showing people and telling people about the work that I made. And then I don't know what exact moment that changed, but I think it was when I was making short films, and then I was going to film festivals to showcase those films, and they put a mic right in your hand and you have to like talk to the audience. And I think that was the moment I got over it. But then I quickly realized that you're honestly passionately talking about your work, what you love. So it kind of comes easy if you really believe in what you're doing. And so that really helped get over that hurdle of me being shy talking about my work. And then I quickly realized that that is a huge part of the industry, which is networking. And I know that could be really scary for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's like you're passionately talking about what you love. So it's almost like you're just going on I don't know, just a long rant about what you do. So that's how I look at it, at least.
Thank you. And so, so that was the hardest skill, like the presentation, the public speaking skills for you to develop.
Yeah, definitely. And I used to stutter a lot when I was younger as well. And so it was that I was just while I was talking, I'm like also thinking in my head, like, oh my gosh, like, is this going well? And so it
Overthinking.
was, yeah, overthinking. So it really took a long time to get over that. But again, if you love what you do and you're passionate about what you do, you got to shout it to the world. You don't want that project sitting on a shelf collecting dust. You got to tell people about it.
So thank you so much, Alexander. Bree, what about you? Um, like, what does your day look like, and what's the best part of your day?
Yeah, so for me, nowadays, I would say like 70% of my day is just like housekeeping stuff, which is, talking to my team, making sure the designers on my team have everything they need, reviewing work, like talking to other, accounts people in advertising, just making sure everything is running smoothly. Um, and going over a lot of briefs, which is like a huge part. And then the 30% of the day, which like I love, is like the design side. So that's, the storytelling, that's the sketching, that's like the concept part of design that is why I love doing design and why I keep doing it. So that's my favorite part of the day. The time where I just get to like sit down and like sketch and like think about brands in like a different way, and um ultimately like telling that story. And I think that like Alexander brings up a great point, like being able to talk about your work. It seems so scary at first, and like to put yourself out there, but you put so much hard work into it, and then you just have so much to show for it. Like, be proud of it. You don't have to be precious about it, but be proud about it. And it's amazing to be able to tell that story, and that's a really fun part about it.
So, Bree, thank you for bringing up like your work, and Alexander, you too. And I want to go back in time a little bit. So these students that are here today have an interest in going to an art school, perhaps, or a design school, advertising and marketing programs, and they're thinking about, how am I going to get in? What should my portfolio look like? Are there any tips that you can give them about how to compose a portfolio, how to apply to an art school? What kind of mindset that they should put themselves in order to succeed in the application process?
I think when I was doing my applications in my portfolio, I was so scared about showing anybody. Like, I kept it to myself and like would just put all my work together and like send it away. But I think that the best thing to do is share it with your peers, like get peer feedback, triple check spelling, like share it. And that makes it stronger, like showing your work to others and being able to like talk about it. So I would just like highly recommend, like, show everybody that you can. And if you can, just show like a breadth of what you love to do. Like, if you love to paint, you love to film, like show a little bit of everything. And I think it'll show how versatile you can be within that program you're applying for.
So you're bringing up a good point, and my reaction to it is like, when you're there showing it to your friends, like you get over the hump of criticism, and you're also developing the skills about talking about your work. So who not better to talk to than to your friends who want you to be successful? So I think you brought up a very good point there that I think is a helpful hint to these students. So thank you. Alexander, what about you? Any tips from your end?
Yeah, I think when I was applying to some of the colleges and universities, my portfolio, I realized for me it needed to have a really personal touch. So I needed to pull from some like personal experiences. For me at the time, I was very angsty, and I was going through a breakup, and I made a short film about that breakup, and super cringe, but I did it and I put that in my portfolio. And I think it really resonated with everyone, because I had conversations with some of the schools about that piece, and again, it was just pulling from personal experiences. And I think a lot of my art in the beginning, I only knew how to do that. And I think it's okay to start from that and then evolve as you continue as an artist. But yeah, if you can pull from something personal, I think that's always helpful.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Gabriel, what can you add to this?
Well, I can only agree with what my co-panelists just mentioned, and I gotta stress the fact that the feedback of peers and fellow artists is probably the most valuable thing you can get your hands on. You know, it's something that you want to keep all your life, is a sort of group of artists that you can trust, can give you constructive feedback about your work. That's always going to be useful. But I could maybe add an anecdote, because the first time I applied to university, I was actually rejected in the program I wanted the most. And I decided to write to the teachers that were in charge of admission. And they were super open to meet with me and talk, review my portfolio, and talk about it to see how I could make it stronger. Because usually you don't really get feedback, right? You just get a letter that says rejected. So I needed to know more about this, and so I went and met with two teachers, and they give me such constructive feedback. And what do you know? The next semester I was in, because I knew exactly what they were expecting, and that's also something that can be hard. You know, what really the teachers are looking for when they're reviewing portfolio for admission. It can be so broad, so it helps to ask questions, don't be shy, and know exactly what they want, what they expect to see.
Thank you very much. That's a very valuable point. Seiko, can you add to that list?
I think they already said everything, but shortly I would say just you do you, which means whenever you put a portfolio for either a college or either you want to send it for a job, just put whatever shows yourself, for whatever you like, because there is no frame in creativity, and that's the beauty of the creativity itself. There is no rules. You can come up with new rules. You can show yourself in a different ways. For example, if you have a weird collection that you love, just put it in your portfolio, because that's you, and you want to be hired, or you want to get in university because of who you are, because who they see in you. Not, don't try to think, okay, what they might want to see in my portfolio. Don't try to fit in anyone's shoes. Just you do you, and you will be seen as you are as soon as you start doing it. So that's would be my suggestion.
Okay, so I'd like to summarize this for the students, because this could be very valuable information for them. So the feedback that we've gotten from the panelists is: be authentic, you do you. Understand that there are no rules, but if you have an opportunity to get guidelines from whomever you're submitting this portfolio to, get the guidelines, because it might help you. If you know, as you're being authentic, pull something personal. Have something that you can speak about that you feel passionately about, and show all your passions. You know, show do a butterfly, show a little bit of everything that you're interested in. Expose your portfolio to anybody who would be happy to look at it and get their constructive feedback, so that you're constantly enhancing it. And this will include teachers, peers, colleagues, anybody. Just get the feedback and take it in the way in which it was presented to you, which was to help you get to help you improve your portfolio. And if you fail, ask why, get the feedback, move forward. So I think that, like, as an instructor at Humber, I think this is important to summarize for these students, so that if they need to put together a portfolio, they kind of have a guideline as to how to do it. So thank you very much for that. Now, I want to circle back to the discussion that we were having previously. I know we went off on a little bit of a tangent, because I think Gabriel had mentioned something. And what I want to go back is, we talked a little bit about the best part of your day. What's your biggest challenge? Anybody want to start? I saw you nodding, Teiko.
I mean, every day is a challenge, I would say, because every day is a new day and you don't know what to expect from every new brief is something you start from scratch, from zero. You have no idea what to do, and you still believe in yourself, you believe in your team that you're gonna crack it and you're gonna do an amazing job. And this having this attitude every day that every brief is just something new, that exciting, and we're gonna do it together and we're gonna do it amazing. I think that's the challenge, to have this mindset every single day.
Have the positive mindset, the can-do mindset.
Yeah.
Bree, what's your biggest challenge?
My favorite part was creating work and just being able to do that. But the hardest part is you're constantly creating work and putting yourself out there. And I think that what I've learned in my career is that leads a little bit to burnout, and you just have to find the best way you can to, cope with that. And I think that just being able to understand that and analyze that is difficult, but once you figure it out, it helps you, what Teiko said, just like continue and see every opportunity as a new opportunity.
Alexander, Gabriel, you're nodding. So some agreement.
Yeah, for me, it's like the thing that I love so much about the industry is the thing that makes it challenging, which is it's a lot of creative problem solving every single day. No day is this, like each day is different. So yeah, but I think the beauty of that is just you're around such creative problem solvers, so you're all collectively doing it together, and so that's what makes it so fun. And then I think my other challenge is imposter syndrome. I think that is a huge thing. You might be working with someone that you've been a fan of for years, and then you finally get to meet them and you're working with them and you're wondering if you belong at the same table as them. And so it's overcoming those challenges, but it's a constant reminder that it's like, you know what, you did the work to get there and you're recognized by your peers and by your community, and you deserve to be there like everyone else. And so it's just kind of reminding yourself that, yeah, you belong.
And could I add to that, if I may? When I heard you talking, what was running through my mind was, yeah, you did the work to get there, but so did they. So they just got there before you did.
Yeah.
Gabriel, what about you? What's your biggest challenge?
Yeah, I gotta agree that the things that are fun is also the things that makes the job hard, because being innovative and creating something engaging, it takes so much energy to get there and to find the right idea, the right inspiration, and really to create something that feels satisfying and innovative is very difficult to get there. But once you get it, it's so satisfying. So the workaround or the solution that I found for that, to not get to a point of exhaustion, is to try to find a balance between projects that are really stimulating on the creative point of view, and it's okay to work on some easier stuff once in a while, and give your brain a little well-deserved break. And I feel like everyone has a different sense of balance for that, but with time, you need to figure that out, and it can be very beneficial for your mental health, but also for your creative sense, that you're going to leave all the effort for the project that are worth it.
Very, very important to strike that balance. What do you guys do outside of work to help keep everything on even keel? And
that's where I make my dad proud. I go in the kitchen and I do what we're good at. I'm gonna cook up some nice, I don't know, pasta for the family or stuff like
beautiful.
that. It's so different from what I do in the day. All the stress melts away, and the reward is also delicious. So that's better than therapy in my sense.
Italian therapy is the kitchen. Yeah. Alexander, what about you? What do you do to help keep everything
Yeah, I
aesthetic?
think it's a constant journey of rediscovering that. I'm currently trying to figure that out because I like put myself into my work all the time, especially when you're running a business, it's like 24/7. So I don't know. I'm currently trying to join a kickboxing gym, rediscover my martial arts.
Mhm.
So it's been a long time. So yeah, think about doing that.
Very good. I hope you find it. Like
Thank
whatever, yeah.
you.
Bree, what about you?
I've learned that for me, art is super therapeutic. So I do ceramics on the side, and it's my one opportunity to just not look at a screen, do something with my hands, and completely separate myself from everything else. So for me, pottery is my therapy. And that's how I stay balanced.
When did you discover pottery? Because you went in for, like, you were in fine arts in terms of, if I recall correctly, you went more towards the painting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did I end?
So I do paint once in a while, but I found that doing the thing, getting my hands messy for me is like it's the most thrilling part.
Mhm.
So I started pottery at the beginning of COVID as a
Oh,
way to just try something new. And so it's been, 4 years of just doing that. And it
wonderful.
worked. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Thank you. Teiko.
So I found out to stay creative in the creative industry, you have to have a life, because
Mhm.
otherwise you just become robot again, and it's not gonna work. So I have the rule for me that at least once a week I need to do something new. It could be just as simple as just try new food, but it could be just new experience. It could be just go dancing. I don't know, go to see the touristic place in Dubai, and there are so many in Dubai. So I'm just this is my rule. So at least once a week, you do something new to get inspired, get new feelings, get new perspective. Just get out of your bubble, get out of your comfort zone, and then go back to work inspired, and then do the job. Because if you just sit at work all day, you're just gonna lose your inspiration.
Thank you for that. Now, again, circling back to the beginning of your career, you're all, seasoned, varying degrees to some extent. From where you started to where you are now, did you ever expect to be doing what you're doing now at the start of your advertising career? And how much, if not, how much did you have to adjust your expectations along the way, and how did you have to adjust them? Anyone want to start? I'll leave it open.
I can start.
Okay, thanks, Alexander.
Yeah, so I started my company. Technically, I started my company out of college, but I really started it out of high school. I ran under the same name, Alfredo, which is my middle name. And I just think that that has always evolved and that has changed in different ways. I've had the same goal of I want to be a filmmaker. I want to run a production company. It's just that's just changed over the years and what that looks like. So I think that goal has always remained. And I think that, but I think it's like ever changing because I don't want to just I want, like, I'm always going to be in advertising, but I also want to make feature films and TV shows and animations and anything that's creative. It kind of goes with to what everyone was saying is that, like, you kind of always want to keep that creativity alive. And so to like stay doing one thing, I feel like could put me in a box. So those are the things that make me really happy. And I think it's ever changing, but somewhere in the middle, there's a goal and it's a straight line, but
Oh.
lines are also moving. I don't know. I contradicted myself.
Bree, do you want to add to that? How about, like, are you where you thought you'd be? What are the challenges that you met along the road?
I always like joke that I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like it's ever changing for me. And I think like I started wanting to be an artist. I like dabbled in fashion. and then got to design. So I just think like you're gonna have to adapt, and things are out of your control, and just keep learning and just like find your path, because it's gonna be different for everybody in this creative field. And who knows like how the industry is going to change in a few years, but I think as long as we keep learning and trying new stuff, we'll just like find our little niche and like fit perfectly in there.
Gabriel or Teiko, want to add to that?
Yeah, sure, I can go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think when I was young, I didn't even know that what I do right now was a possible career path. So it was kind of impossible to imagine myself in this position. And like my co-panelist said, you know, our field is changing so much, and you have to constantly adapt. And sometimes it's hard to have a long-term vision, because you can try many different things, and you can also change as an artist. For me, what's really done the difference is having short-term goals, and especially short-term goals that you feel excited about. And sometimes those are hard to keep, in line. Sometimes you'll have a few months of maybe less creative stuff booked up in your calendar, but it's hard to do, but you need to make the effort to try to keep short-term project that will keep you excited, and sort of keep your creative juice going. So yeah, that's how I feel right now. I'm very, very excited for the upcoming year, and I feel very fortunate for that.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we've said so far, our industry is ever evolving. We need to be nimble. We need to be adaptable. We need to try new stuff, because as the field evolves, we need to evolve along with it. So which takes me to my next question. So the industry has seen a lot of changes within the last 5 years, especially with COVID and how that disrupted and whatnot. We've seen changes in the way in which we work, and the rise of certain different media, different applications and whatnot. I'm wondering if you could speak about what you've noticed differently in the past and the continuation of that, and we can take this separately depending on how we go, is what do you see coming down the pipe in the next few years? So
I can.
yeah, please.
So we all see the changes about AI and this part of advertising. Like now everyone tries to use AI somehow in their projects. And this has been going on like past 2 years, I think. But at the end of the day, I think creative industry is about, it has only two goals and two reasons to exist. So one is entertaining, it either entertains you or not, and the second one is either helps you or not. So creative industry has to have either one of the options to do its job. So that's why I think in the future it's gonna turn more to entertaining industry, or more focused on actually helping people, because we're now living in the time where just selling products doesn't work. You cannot just sell product if it's not either entertaining or helping you. So I think that's where we're going to more understand humans, more understand our target group, and put more emotions. I will go back to emotions now, more emotions in our products.
Okay. Great. As a strategy designer, or strategic designer, I should say, you alluded to some of these things that Teiko just mentioned at the end, in your relationship with strategists and getting the information from strategists. Do you see the same trend, and what other trends do you see?
Yeah, this one was a tough one for me to think about, because like the industry just changes so much. And like we said, we just have to like keep evolving. And yes, I think AI is a huge thing, and finding, if for designers, it's scary because it's taking over our programs already. But I think finding ways to use it that like help us in our process to make us work more efficiently is how we can actually take advantage of it. But from a strategy standpoint, I think that there's like a huge opportunity to think about design more than just visuals. And like, how do we interact, like what Tega was saying, like how do we interact with them in our daily lives, and how does it become more useful? So how can we start to tell the story from like a logo to like an object? So this idea of like holistic design, I think, is something really interesting that we can look forward to for the graphic design industry.
Very interesting. Thank you for that insight.
I'll add to that as well. I feel like when I started my company, because I didn't know anything about advertising, I started working with Facebook. And so that's kind of how I got to learn a little bit about advertising. And it was really interesting because I always came from a place where I was like, broadcast is dead. Like, I just like, I don't know, I hadn't watched cable in so long, and I like just like stream everything. I'm terrible illegally online. I'm just like, yeah, this is the way to go. I'm torrenting everything. But it's really funny to see how things evolve, because broadcast is not dead. It's just the way things get packaged is just kind of just together. So I don't think anything's really ever going to get eliminated. It's more like, how is it being packaged, and how is that thing evolving? Really, it's never, I don't think it's really ever the full panic button, but it's just like how everyone's adapting to it. And so I feel like that's what I saw, at least when everyone was like, yeah, like I was one of those people like, yeah, broadcast, like I don't watch TV. Now I feel like somehow I've Bell 5, and I think I have cable again. And so I'm like, here we go. I'm like watching commercials on TV again. And so I'm like, yeah, I think it all comes full circle. It's just kind of like how we're integrating and using those tools into our day-to-day.
Thank you. And I think last but not least, Gabriel, do you have any insights to add, or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my co-panelists have touched on a lot of interesting things, and it's hard to identify the things that are just trends that are passing and will die quickly, and stuff that will stay, and that it's worth learning and acquiring these skills, and that's always a tough choice to make. So going back to AI, I agree that it's a scary technology for a lot of people in our field, and there's a lot of debate around it. But learning is scary and innovation is scary. So I feel like um, I feel like this is not a trend that's gonna die. I think it's those are very powerful tools, and we should really be using them as an artist if we want to stay relevant, I think. So yeah, that's just my take on AI. But I've been playing around with those and really having lots of fun, and those are really powerful. Um, so yeah, and another thing that I like to keep my eyes on, and I feel that is fascinating, is the way that the language of I'm gonna say the language of cinema, but the language of imagery in general is evolving, and with technology like the social media, but more specifically TikTok. The users are reinventing the language of cinema and creating stories at such a fast pace. So it's at the beginning I thought it was something just for my nephew to play around on, but things can appear not important, but really bring massive changes to the way we communicate and understand things. So I think the goal is just to stay curious and stay informed.
Great. Thank you all for those insights. Now, I'd just like to remind the audience that we'll take any questions from you. We've spoken a lot, but is there anything that we haven't hit upon that members of the audience would like to ask the panelists, feel free to bring forward. Is there anything that any of the panelists would like to add in terms of, you know, if you could give one piece of advice to a high school student who's thinking about a creative industry, what would it be?
It could go. I got very good advice at the very beginning of my career, which I think it's still the most important advice I have ever got. And it's don't take it personally. Don't take anything personally. If you lose the award, don't take it personally. Even if you win the award, don't take it personally. So don't take anything personally, because it's very hard in creative industry to separate yourself from your ideas and from your projects. And if someone doesn't like your idea, or if it's not appreciated, or a client doesn't want it, or you don't win an award, you take it very offensive at yourself. So you need this barrier between those two things to not ruin your mental health, because as amazing as creative industry is, it could, if you don't have these rules in your mind, it could ruin your health very soon. So like you have to try to learn how to separate yourself from your work sometimes.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have a pearl of wisdom to share?
I would just say, just keep creating for the sake of creating. No matter which career like you end up going in, just like find that one thing where you like start it and then like lose like 3 hours because your head's been down, like, and focusing on that. And I think that that's where inspiration and your mental health can succeed, is when you find that thing that you're really creating just for the sake of creating. So I would stay true to just keep a little piece of that if you can.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I'd like to add my part to this topic is I feel like it's really important to stay active in the field that interests you, and get out there and participate to events, and volunteer for the Comic-Con if that's what's interesting to you, and go to that film festival, because you know, as much as our world has turned to a virtual experience, there's nothing like meeting someone in person to make an impression and build a contact, but also, you know, finding some good inspiration sources. So yeah, it's important to create, but it's also important to get out there and get out of your shell and make the effort to meet new people.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll also add to that, which is, it's kind of basically what you just said, but finding community is so important. A creative community, even if it's not creative, just good friends, you know, where you feel like you have a safe space to express your ideas. I think that's super important. I think my core, like some of my most pure core memories, is being in high school, not knowing what I'm doing at all, just having a camera in my hand, or working with like After Effects, or I don't know, just not knowing what I'm doing, but we're all having so much fun, staying up until the morning, just creating. I think those pure moments, and you have to like hold on to those memories, and hold on and try and recreate those times. Yeah, have a good community.
Right. So I think we've covered a lot of ground today. And I'd like to thank each and every one of the panelists for their time. I think you've provided some really great insights for the students to take in, process, and process as they are navigating the next couple of years of their lives, and trying to get into a school that will help them support their creative interests. So thank you all so very much. Thank you to the schools for attending this panel. Much appreciated. And we'll see you all tomorrow for our next panel. Thank you all.